Okay, in this video, we're going to work with proportions. And what we're going to do is determine if the proportions are true or false by finding the cross products. Now, as you recall, a proportion is an equation. Because it's an equation, it can be true or false. The proportion is true if the ratios are equal, and the proportion is false if the ratios are not equal. So for example, here we have our first proportion, and it says 4/7 is equal to 16/28, and we want to see if that's true or false. Well, one way to determine if proportions are true is by simplifying. So you could simplify 16/28 and reduce it and see if it equals 4/7. And how we would simplify 16/28, as you know, is by dividing out the common 4. They both have a 4 in common. And when you divide 16 by 4 and also 28 by 4, then you get 4/7. So 4/7 definitely equals 4/7, so this is a true proportion. Now that would be called solving, or actually determining that a proportion is true by simplifying. But if we want to use the cross products, then what we're going to do here is we're going to multiply straight across the equal sign. So let's go back to the original problem. And this time we are going to use the cross products to show that this is a true proportion. So with the cross products, you're going to multiply the 4 times the 28th. So straight across the equal sign, and then you're going to multiply the 7 times the 16 straight across, and we're going to see that those two give the same answer. So we multiply 28 times 4, we'll start there, and 8 times 4 is 32, and then we have an 8, so 112. And now we're going to check and see if we get the same answer when we multiply the 7 times the 16. So 16 times 7, and then 7 times 6 is 42, carry 4. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 112. So notice that the two cross products give the same answer. So again, we have shown that the original proportion is true. Okay, well that one was one of our more basic proportions. Look at this one with the decimals. Now simplifying this might take a little bit more work. So the cross products it's going to be a good technique for us to check to see if this proportion is true or false. And again, the cross product, you multiply the 0.9 9/10 and the 4 and 5/10, so the 0.9 times the 4.5. And then we're going to multiply the 2.3 times the 1.2, and we're going to see if we get the same answer. So 4.5 times 0.9, we're going to start there, and 9 times 5 is 45, it carry 4. 9 times 4 is 36, and 4 is 40. And we do have 2 decimal places, so we're going to go 2 decimal places to the left, and so our final answer is 4.05 for the first cross product, which was this yellow one, right? Okay, so now we want to check and see if that equals the answer that we get when we multiply 2.3 times 1.2, which is this cross product, right? So 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4, and now we have a 0, and then 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 2 is 2, and when we add down 6, 7, and 2, and again, we have 2 decimal places, so we are going to move the decimal point 2 places to the left, and so we have 2.76. So 4.05 is not equal to 2.76. So guess what? This is a false proportion. All right, let's do the next example. Now the next example is a proportion made up of fractions, bunches of fractions. And again, we're going to use our cross products and see if when we multiply across, if we get the same answer. All right, so let's try that. So here we have 3 and 3/7 that needs to be multiplied times 2 and 3/16. So that's the first cross product. And you know with fractions we need to change this to improper. So we go 7 times 3, which is 21, plus 3 is 24/7 times, and here we get 16 times 2, which is 32, plus 3 is 35/16. And here I'm seeing that we can actually do some reducing before we multiply straight across, because the 7 goes into the 35. So 7 into itself once, 7 into 35 5 times. The 24 and the 16, they look like they have a 4 factor in common. So we're going to divide both by 4. So 24 divided by 4 is 6, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. Oh, and guess what? We still have another common factor of 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now we're ready to multiply straight across, and we get 3 times 5, 15, and 1 times 2 is 2. So here's 15 halves, and that gives us a mixed number of, well, 2 goes into 15 7 times, and so we have remainder of 1, so 7.5. So that is our first cross product, 7.5. We're going to check and see if our yellow cross product also gives us a 7.5. So I have a 1 and 4/5 times a 4 and 1/6. Okay, so mixed, this improper will be 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4, 9/5 times, and here we get 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25/6. And we can reduce, can't we? So 5 goes into both of these. So 5 goes into itself once and into 25 5 times. And a 3 goes into 9 and 6, goes into 6 twice, goes into 9 3 times. And when we multiply across, we get 15/2, which we've seen before, haven't we? So we know that this is also 7.5. And this proportion, which looks so awful, is a true proportion.